Hello, it's Phil Thatch, and I'm here at the North River Soccer Complex in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and there's going to be a scrimmage match between one of the CFC teams, I think it's CFC U19, and just some fellas that got together to kind of help them out and do a scrimmage match with them to get them ready for their season. And I'm going to experiment with the Canon R6 and the 100 to 500 to make some photographs of it. Really looking forward to it. I haven't done soccer photography yet with my new Canon gear. And this field it's really interesting. It's right by the Tennessee River. You can't see it because it's on the other side of those trees back there, but look, the lights here have osprey nests in the top of them. So what a cool location. And I'm looking forward to trying out the photography with the 100 to 500. So this is the first time I've ever put my 100 to 500 on a monopod. Usually I take the tripod collar off of it and shoot it like that, but I figure I'll be shooting at basically the same level for this entire match, so might as well not wear my arms out. And I'm starting out at 1/2500th, and I'm going to shoot wide open, which could be anywhere between 4.5 to 7.1 depending on the focal length. And I'm going to let auto ISO do its thing and see how that works out for me.
I wasn't happy with the way auto ISO was working, so I switched to full manual very quickly.
I'm using my regular autofocus setup where I have face detect, eye detect on my main focus button and single point on my secondary. A couple of times in practice shots, the eye detect has kind of gone for the player I don't want it to go to, and in that situation I can just switch buttons and it'll go right where I want it to go. So let's get started when the match gets started, and we'll see if it works like I think it's going to work.
I used case 4, autofocus case 4, with the tracking sensitivity and the accelerate decelerate tracking all the way to the maximum settings. Alright, let's look at some pictures and settings from the soccer. This is the first shot that I liked enough to share, and this is actually the first goal of the match. This is Ian, and look, he's got 2 defenders plus the keeper in front of him, and he got this shot into the goal. Unfortunately, he did it so fast I didn't catch the ball in the frame. Here's a corner kick. Look at the great golden hour light I had that evening for shooting. This is a 500mm shot. Here's someone hitting it with their head, a header I guess is what you call it. Here's another 500mm shot, 400mm here, 428. There's another headshot at 500mm. It's nice to use that 100 to 500, but I think I really actually enjoyed the 70 to 200 better that I used a little later. Here's a 400mm shot. And at the first break, they took a halftime break, and they took 2 water breaks, one during each half. And during the first water break, this juvenile osprey flew in and landed on the nest, and I made a couple of photos of it. 363mm, both of these, but I was really happy with especially this one, and to a slightly lesser extent this one. Back to the soccer action. Here's a 500mm shot, and you can see it's starting to get just a little bit darker. This young fella has hit this one with his head, and it's bouncing into the sky. This is a header that failed maybe a little bit. There's Ian again. That kid plays hard. And here's some more soccer shots. That's another 500mm shot, and another 500. Another 500. These are probably all in a sequence. Another 500. Maybe I did like the 500mm lens. I am using it at its full strength quite a bit. This one is still using the 500mm lens, but it's only at 159mm. 324. Look how sharp this young man's eyes are. And that's, he's moving down the field, kicking the ball, and this camera is awesome. That's a 118mm shot. I think I missed focus a little bit on this one. I'm not sure exactly where the focus point was, but I don't think that one is as in focus as some of the others. Maybe that's motion blur. This is kind of a sequence of shots right here. This fella's coming down to kick towards the goal, and they got tangled up, and he went down. And the results of that was a penalty kick, which went into the goal. Good golden hour light in this shot. All right, well, they've had 2 water breaks, and the sun's starting to go down, so I'm switching to the 70 to 200 2.8, and that's nowhere near enough range on full frame. It's great on APS-C, but not enough on full frame, but I'll get some stuff if they come close. This is the first shot after I switched to the 70 to 200, and I switched to a different location on the field as well, kind of right at the very end of the field. Here comes Ian. He was charging right at me made this shot. And as I looked at this shot on the back of the camera, I said, you know what, this would have looked way better if I had gotten low. So the rest of the time when somebody would come down right at me, I would drop to my knee on the field and shoot in that position. I really like this composition. This young man, he's really eyeballing that ball in the sky. It's pretty cool. I had slowed down to 1/2000th of a second and there's still motion blur in that ball. This is kind of a fast break sort of a situation, so these are a number of shots in a row. And I was shooting, I did not have the electronic shutter on. I was shooting mechanical and 10 frames a second during this. And there's the keeper, and that is a goal. I love the light on this shot. You never know when somebody kicks one hard like that, if it's going to hit you in the face. I don't blame him for making that face. There's Ian with the header. This is a compression shot where the ball, you can actually see it maximum squished on his head. And here's another header. I was so disappointed that I cut their feet off so you couldn't see how high they had jumped, but they jumped pretty high to do this. That's a cool shot. I love to shoot sports at 2.8. Now this is another fast break. These pictures, except for one, have not been edited, but I wanted to show you this. Here's the guy in the white shirt, and there's two defenders. And he is playing hard and is busting through, and I'm actually zooming during some of these. Like right there, I am zooming. This one was at 182 millimeters and this one was at 168, and I'm not sure if that's why the camera lost focus or what, but I think it might have something to do with zooming while shooting at 10 frames a second. Now he's gone past these two guys and he's only got the keeper left, and he comes down. Makes the shot. Now this is that's unedited. This was the one I liked enough to edit. So you can see how I've cropped it and just made everything look a little better. And it gets past the keeper. And it's heading towards the goal. But it's a miss. And I'm not going to say the word that he yelled after all that hard work ended up being a fail, but I will tell you that it started with an F. And I believe that's the last one.
Well, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed shooting with those two Canon L lenses, the 100 to 500 and the 70 to 200. It is almost dark, and I was still shooting with the 70 to 200 right up until the end. You can see, I don't know if you can see, there's a building in the background that has lights on, just to give you an idea of how dark it is. Whew, I'm hot and sweaty, but that was fun. Hope you enjoyed the pictures, including a little wildlife thrown in for good measure. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.